right, how's it going, my fellow engineers and philosophers? Welcome to the first video on engineering major, philosophy minor. EMPM is a channel where you can get a working engineer's opinions on engineering, philosophy, the combination of engineering and philosophy. We'll talk about politics, we'll talk about religion, we'll talk about social issues, etc. Since this is the first video on this channel, I think it's probably customary for me to give you guys a little bit of background about myself just very briefly. I did my undergraduate degree in aerospace engineering, and I also have a master's degree in aerospace engineering. I worked in commercial aerospace for 5 years, and for the past 4 years, I have been working in the aerospace defense industry. So that being said, there are a ton of different disciplines that go into making airplanes fly. What I'm predominantly responsible for is structural analysis and structural test. Basically what that means is I make sure that when an aircraft takes off and flies around, it can accomplish its mission without wings breaking off, engines breaking off, tails breaking off, etc., etc. Now, the reason I bring all that up is not to toot my own horn or anything, although I do love my job and I'm very proud of what I do. The reason I brought that up is because it has some relation to the topic that I wanted to discuss today. So let's just jump right into what I wanted to talk about. I came across this article, or heard about this article rather, in Popular Mechanics that was written on June 15th, 2020, so it was a little bit over a week ago. And the title of the article is How to Topple a Statue Using Science. Bring that sucker down without anyone getting hurt. Now, first off, the reason why I wanted to talk about this is because, to me, it seems like Popular Mechanics is trying to take somewhat of a political position on this whole statue removal topic. In fact, in this article, they're going to suggest ways that you can safely take down statues. So let's start reading the article right here. The article begins with, "It hasn't been a great past few weeks for statues. From Bristol, England to Birmingham, Alabama, people all over the world have been grappling with the legacy of racism by tossing their grappling hooks around the heads of problematic monuments. Should you happen to find yourself near a statue that you decide you no longer like, we ask scientists for the best, safest ways to bring it to the ground without anyone getting hurt, except, of course, for the inanimate racist who's been dead for a century anyway." The article goes on with a little disclaimer. This article is being presented only to describe the physics and mechanics of removing statues in light of national attention being drawn to the removal of Confederate monuments and statues. Popular Mechanics is not encouraging anyone to remove any statues. There is a risk of injury whenever you try to remove or destroy a statue, even if you were to apply the information presented in this article. Now, I think we can all agree that this little disclaimer down here is a little bit disingenuous, right? I mean, sure, they're not directly saying, like, you should take down a statue, but they are saying that people have been grappling with the legacy of racism. Well, that's pretty negative, a legacy of racism. I don't want that. They're saying the monuments are problematic. Well, I don't know problematic, according to who, but they're problematic. That's bad. It might be a statue that you decide you no longer like. Okay. And then apparently there's safe ways to bring it to the ground. And by the way, no one's going to get hurt except for the racist who's on the ground. Well, there's a couple problems with this. One of them is that prior to the writing of this article, there was actually people who got hurt from a statue coming down using one of the methods that is espoused in this article. So is it really fair to say that these are perfectly safe? I mean, I would say that the safest way to bring down the statue is to actually not bring it down at all. And if you really have a grievance with it, you should get in touch with the city, everybody should vote, and then professionals should come with really nice lifting equipment. They know how to remove, they know how to apply certain things to the base of the statue to remove it, and they have special tools, okay? But I think that my real central issue with this is, back when I was younger, before I even wanted to become an engineer, I would read magazines like Popular Mechanics. I would read model, train, and airplane catalogs. I would build models. I would look over architectural drawings of my parents' house. And it was always very inspiring. Popular Mechanics would always have articles of, look at these cool new technological things that are coming out in Christmas time. Look at the intricate way that this one mechanical thing works, or this electronic things work. And I would always look at those things and I would say to myself, you know what? I want to build stuff like that one day. I would always say to myself, I want to be able to take an idea from my mind and put it down on paper and create something. Now, to me, that's all a very positive and constructive thing. But now we have Popular Mechanics coming in and taking a political stance and advocating the usage of what we're going to see are some engineering methods that I deal with on a day-to-day basis, or engineering principles that I deal with on a day-to-day basis. And they're saying to use them, or they're suggesting that they can be used in a destructive way. Now, I really don't like that. If you're a young, aspiring engineer or scientist, or even if you're not even into the sciences at all and you want to do something different, like economics or politics or, whatever it might be, arts, if you're interested in any of these fields, do you really think that grappling with the legacy of racism is going to prevent you from getting there? Do you think that taking down problematic monuments is the most constructive way that you can pursue your dreams of doing whatever you want to do? Now, I can tell you in the case of engineering directly, you could follow the same exact path that I took and become a successful professional engineer. Companies want your skills to create. They want your skills to be inspiring. They want your ideas. It doesn't matter if you're my skin tone or you're darker, you're black, you're Asian, you're Middle Eastern, doesn't matter. Companies want your talent. And you're not going to show off your talent to them by complaining about racism, by taking down random statues, by vandalizing things, and by acting like you're allowed to do that simply because of something someone did in the past that does not directly affect you. Okay? And I can tell you right now, in another video, I will talk in depth about how I got to where I am. But do you think I went to community college and then I transferred to four-year for my engineering degree? Do you think that my community college said, oh, because you're half Filipino, we can't let you in? Do you think I didn't know and have black friends in community college? Do you think I don't work with Hispanics, blacks, Asians, Middle Easterns now in my career? No. All those people got there for a reason. They got there for a reason because they have talents that are useful and because they displayed those talents in a useful way. And I don't like the fact that people might read this Popular Mechanics article and think that they are not able to do the exact thing that I did or the exact thing that my colleagues did because of a legacy of racism. Okay? I'm not going to deny that there are racists in the world, and I'm not going to deny that there's a history of racism. But I can tell you this much right now, and I know in my field for sure, engineering firms don't hand down from worker generation to worker generation, hey, you know what, discriminate against this person or discriminate against that person. No, we're all engineers, we're all big nerds, we all love technical stuff like this, and we are just trying to create the things like you might see on the background of my screen right now. So I want to continue on, and I know I talked about this intro for a little bit. I'm not going to read every single line in this article, but I want to point some things out in the article that are engineering principles that if you know something about, I want you to know that engineering companies want to use that knowledge. And they don't want to use that knowledge to enslave you. They want to pay you a lot of money. They want to send you to exotic places to do it. They want to get you working in concert with other people. You might be thinking, oh, well, then, the billionaire at the top is just going to rip me off. Well, no, they're not ripping you off. Like I said, you're going to get paid good money. You're going to get paid to travel places. You might even get paid to relocate to a certain city. And that can be really helpful when it comes to things like buying a house or buying a new car or whatever your expenses might be. You're going to get healthcare benefits. You're going to get a professional network of engineers. So anyway, sorry, I'm going off on this a little bit, but let's look at this first thing. The force required to pull down a statue isn't as great as you think, says mechanical engineer Scott Holland. Most statues are bronze using an alloy of 90% copper and 10% tin, and a maximum thickness of 3/16 of an inch. The Statue of Liberty's copper sheeting is only 3/32 of an inch thick for comparison. So I want to take a minute to talk about some of the things that they're looking at here, some of the engineering principles that are coming into play in this article. Most statues are bronze using an alloy of 90% copper and 10% tin. Well, here they're talking about material science. They're talking about chemical composition of metals. Here they're talking about 3/16 of an inch versus 3/32 of an inch. Well, if something's thicker, it's typically going to be stronger. You can look at this from the paradigm of, well, maybe I ought to figure out what the thickness of, the statue is that I want to take down so that I know how many people that I need to pull it, in order to destroy something, which is kind of what the rest of this article starts explaining. Or if you know something about this stuff, I'm telling you, there are companies that are dying for talent of people who know things about alloys of metals, about sizing structure, which is what we call, which is the name for, looking at different gauges of material, 3/16 of an inch, 3/32 of an inch, and making sure that those are adequate thicknesses for something like this airplane that you see in the background here. Just briefly, I want to mention this image here. They show U.S. troops topple a statue of Saddam Hussein in Baghdad, Iraq, April 9th, 2003. Now, I think the reason why they're putting this in here is because they want to make the passive claim that, oh, look, the U.S. goes to other countries and does this, so it's okay when we do it in our own country. Well, I just want to point out that Saddam Hussein was quite a different person than Christopher Columbus, was quite a different person than George Washington, quite a different person than Thomas Jefferson, Abraham Lincoln, Ulysses S. Grant. I want to move on to another, here's yet another engineering principle that should be used for creation, not destruction. Say yield strength changes a lot with temperature. A 90% copper, 10% tin statue, bronze, as they talked about earlier, for example, will have a yield strength at room temperature of 31.4 megapascals. That's compared to 275 megapascals for 6061 aluminum. So structurally, Holland says, it's not hard to break. In aerospace, I deal with 6061 aluminum all the time. It's not a great grade of aluminum. There are plenty of other good ones. But the point I'm trying to make is, if you have knowledge about this stuff, if you want to learn about this stuff, okay, ignore all this like statue bringing down nonsense, okay? Take these engineering principles and use them to create, use them to help people, not to just destroy random things because you may or may not have an axe to grind, a political axe to grind, okay? Here they show a really nice graph, strength of materials, influence of temperature. I can tell you as a professional engineer, I look at charts like this all the time. As you can see, there's some very interesting behavior right here. Again, if you understand how these behaviors work, there are engineering companies out there that want to pay you good amounts of money to utilize your knowledge to help build things that help people travel all over the world, that help put advanced medical devices in people to save people. They want your expertise on stuff like this when it comes to designing new consumer electronics, building buildings, building bridges, building things that people use that help people's lives. The rest of the article, it talks about a chemical approach. In fact, they specify a thermite reaction. My boy Chris Harrison down here in San Diego is advocating that you use a thermite reaction, 3:1 mass of rust and aluminum powder. Come on, man. What's a good thing that we use thermite reactions for? We use it for fix regular railroad lines because the product of the reaction can actually fill in cracks or divides that they intentionally put in between railroad lines. We don't need to use that stuff to take down statues. So that's about all I'm going to say about the article, but what I want to do is I want to show you guys a couple videos of what I think are just beautiful examples of engineering. And what I want you guys to take away from this is these are things that you can be a part of, all right? All right, guys, so that's all I'm going to read from this particular article. I'll link the article in the description below if you want to read the whole thing. But right now what I want to do is I want to show you guys a couple videos of what I think are really magnificent and beautiful examples of engineering principles that are talked about in this article being used to create things. And the message that I want to take away that you guys really remember is that it doesn't matter who you are. Again, black, Asian, woman, man, Middle Eastern, Hispanic, whatever. You are capable of being a part of these things too. What you need to do is forget about taking down statues, work hard, don't commit crime, and all you have to do is go to community college and transfer into a four-year institution, and you can be a part of these things too. First video I want to show you is a time lapse of a 787-10 being put together. So what we're seeing right here is these are robots that are applying composite layers to the fuselage structure of the 787. Oh, and I don't know if you caught it right there, but here are a couple people who are a little bit darker skinned who are working on this stuff. That could be you, right? What are we looking at right here in this image? In this image, we're looking at the stringers on the fuselage, and we're looking at the skin of the fuselage. Well, guess how thick, that skin is. It's probably between 3/32 and 3/16 of an inch. It's not made out of bronze, it's made out of carbon fiber. But the point I want to make is if you want to work on stuff like that, if you want to be the one that picks this thickness, that maybe doesn't pick this alloy, but picks the specific arrangement of composite fabrics that go into making something like this, if you want to build stuff like this, oh, look at that right there. Here's another person of color working on this airplane, right? How did she do it? Well, she's not taking down statues and monuments. It's because she worked very hard. It's because she had a skill, she had intelligence that could be utilized by the company. And she's maybe one of 100 people in the whole world that gets to work on things like this. Here's a good shot of the full airplane rolling out. Here's a set of videos that is really cool. You can look these up on YouTube. Obviously, just look this up. This is published by NASA. So here's a view of the Space Shuttle main booster engines starting up just before liftoff of the Space Shuttle. Now, this is extremely hot gas coming out of here, and you might be asking yourself, why is there all this, smoke coming off of here? What looks like smoke? Well, that's actually water vapor. Why? Because there's this intense liquid cooling. That's what's going around all these rings of the nozzle here. There's this intense liquid cooling to keep the metal cool. And why do you want to keep the metal cool? Well, because look right here, you can see that as the temperature increases on metallics, the strength decreases significantly. Now again, I point this out because here's this graph is in this article, which is telling you how to destroy statues. But why not learn about this graph and then help build things like this right here? Okay, and then last video that I want to show you guys, this is a time-lapse process of building a composite fan blade for a General Electric engine. All this stuff is built in the US. This right here, see, this is actually the backing of a sticky fabric, and they're actually literally cutting out shapes almost like you would for an arts and crafts project. You're going to see in a second, now they're organizing all the shapes so that they're layered on correctly. And here in a second, you can see this is a tool right here, and they're actually literally just, it's like they're laying down cloths into this tool. All you need to be able to do work like this is a high school diploma, all right? And guys are going to pay you big bucks so that you can learn about all these cool materials, so that you can lay all this stuff up, so that you can build these nice big parts. Eventually it'll look something like this. All those blades, they're going to go into an engine that looks just like this. That fan up there up front produces about 100,000 pounds of thrust. There are 16 blades, if you divide that out, 100,000 divided by 16, that's 6,250 pounds per blade pushing the fan forward, and that's what pulls the aircraft forward as it takes off. Look, let's go back to our article here. An average statue of a person tops out at about 3,500 pounds. That means that you could take this blade and you could rest almost 2 full statues on it without it breaking. And not only that, you could rest almost 2 full statues on it without it breaking about 30,000 times, or even up to 50,000 times, because these engines are designed to do 50,000 flights. Now, you might think that that's boring. You might not give a crap about that. But what I can say is, again, if you have a passion for this kind of stuff, if you want to learn this stuff, there are schools, there are companies, there are organizations that want to leverage your knowledge, and they want to pay you a lot of money, and they want to put you in really nice places to do some of this stuff, okay? Now, the last thing I'm going to say in this video, here's the community college that I went to, Foothill College. I just went up on the website here today. I haven't been to this website in maybe 10, 15 years. What's the first thing I see? We are an anti-racist community. There's a nice Asian person right here. If I click apply and register, I get right here. Look, people of all different ethnicities, different diversities, different backgrounds. It's obvious that this school wants people like you to apply. They don't want you going around and taking down all the statues that they have around campus and complaining, okay? These people want to give you an education. They don't want to discriminate. They want to set you up so that you can work on stuff like this, so that you can put together things like this, so that you can be the one that designs systems that surround this and gets to watch it take off. They want you to build things like this, okay? So just remember, guys, when you're thinking about getting upset at the system and complaining at the world and thinking that there's every institution is against you, and the best way to deal with that is to go be destructive, just remember that there's people like me and other people like you that managed to transcend all this and get to positions where they got to work on beautiful, magnificent things like that. And they did it because, again, they didn't want to destroy things. They wanted to take knowledge like this and they wanted to apply it to things that are beautiful. That's all I gotta say. Later, guys. Thanks for watching.